Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the Colonial Dungeon, this is the Court Martial Podcast! Introducing your host for this evening, he has a bald spot on the top of his head, and he weighs in tonight at a number you don't need to know. He is the Colonial Loudmouth, Sean McCarty! And welcome once again to another fantastic edition of the Court Martial Podcast. I am, as always, your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty, today joined by the proprietor of the National Wrestling League. I don't have anything else funny for him today because I was busy preparing my show. Welcome back, Skyler Greenberg, to the show. Welcome back, sir.
I'm doing very good, Sean, and I'm going to tell you right now, this show was a pain to put together.
You know, I had the similar problem. Describe the struggles that you went through putting this together.
So I don't know if you know this, but Pat Patterson and Jared Briscoe, or Patricia Patterson and Gina Briscoe,
right,
as you like to call them,
right,
were in trouble last night, and I had to go post bail.
They were?
Well, they're out of jail now, but posting bail is annoying as hell.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to tell you right now, it involved a bar and a couple drinks.
All right, I can kind of see where that's headed. But
I'm ready for tonight's show.
I'm not one to judge, but I am interested to hear how that's all going to play out. But for the sake of fairness, because we are doing both of these shows, we're condensing it into one podcast this week. And because these shows do not have the requirement we put on them, that we had to use every single person on the roster on the show, hopefully this will go by just a little bit faster. But in the interest of fairness, because you had to start last month, I will do the honors and begin this week, and then you can counter my show with your show.
Sounds good.
So we are, as of those of you who saw the live stream, saw that we did our own a match of the week this week, which was Jericho and Hogan from 2002. Next week, that's going to be back on the show. Same with the Superstar Spotlight. So we will get back to those. We're going to keep this show to be just these shows. But we, of course, need your help. Because without your input as to which show you liked better and which show you wish would burn in a sports entertainment fire, I need you to mention in the comments which show you liked better, which show you didn't like. I need your participation. Don't forget the likes. Don't forget the subscriptions. Don't forget all of the wrestling moves onto the bell button. But most importantly, leave some comments and let us know what you think about our smarky, we think we're better than the people writing wrestling shows. And we will kick things off in ACPW.
I want to add something to that.
Yes, of course.
The people at home, we need your comments. We need your votes. We need to know which show is the best show. If we get at least 10 likes on this video and 5 comments in the comment section, I will watch Extreme Rules and I will review it and I will tell you what I think, despite the fact that there's a cinematic match and
Two cinematic matches.
I will watch it and I put myself through pain for your pleasure.
You hear that? What a good guy. What a martyr. He is willing to sacrifice himself for the sake of your entertainment. But we need your help at home. And if I will not watch Extreme Rules, but the fact that my co-host for this week should speak volumes. I mean, that you should be clicking the like if you haven't already. It takes 2 seconds. But what doesn't take 2 seconds is ACPW, because this is still a 2-hour show. I actually tried to fit it in for TV, and I think that combined all the matches and the segments, and then if you add commercials, boils down to like a little bit over 2 hours. Just a little bit. So I'd probably have to cut some of these things for time, but we're not talking about real TV networks and TV deals. This is our own show. So we start, welcome to ACPW, starts with Matt Striker and Taz. Of course, we've got Pyro. Kaboom, kaboom. And we're going to get things starting off with a debut, a brand new debut. He was advertised last week, but now is able to show what he can this week. In comes Shorty G, who is better at everyone Remember, who is better at everyone, at every sport, and now that there are no sports, he is now claiming to be the champion of every sports. He's got his own Super Bowl trophy, he's got his own NBA championship, he's got his own Stanley Cup that is sizably smaller than the actual Stanley Cup.
Get Shorty G away from the Stanley Cup right now,
but
I will pick his ass.
He's got exactly. I love it. That's exactly the reaction I'm hoping for. I want him to have I want him to have like silver medals around his neck. I want him just all trophies all the time. Look how great I am at everything. His opponent tonight is Heath Slater, who of course got a surprise win last week over Pentagon Jr. In a surprise roll-up, but an outsmarting, thanks to Zelina Vega's distraction. Well, this match only goes about 5 minutes, and I didn't want to do this to my boy Slater, but the finish is Shorty G hits a variation of an angle slam on Heath Slater for the pin. I want to get Shorty G established, and in order to do that, I need to get him some wins, and I needed him to beat somebody who had already won a match. And Heath Slater became that martyr. But he's still 1-1, so he's got time to continue to build. But real quick one to get this started. Nothing too big here, just wanted to get the crowd hot. I think that Heath Slater and Shorty G could have a barn burner of a 5-minute match if they had the opportunity.
I feel like they could have a solid match. They're both good wrestlers. Both can do their spots in 5 minutes.
And when I think Shorty G winning with, even though he wins with an angle slam variation, I imagine him raking the eyes to some description, kind of pulling that heel Kurt Angle deal, you know, where he's like distracting the referee, but he's so smarmy because he's so good, but that leads to Heath Slater kind of getting lulled into a false sense of security all over the course of 5 minutes. I think they both could handle that well enough. Now, I will say before I move on that this show does not have the same amount of detail as show number 1 as far as the intricate 3 to 5 pages worth of notes that I wrote, solely for the fact that in week 4 we're going to have our mid-season show, and I'm building up to that, so I'm saving the meticulousness for then. So forgive me if it seems like I'm breezing through some spots, but this is week to week. Coming up next is JR is in the ring with the Hardys. And the Hardys cut a promo about the circumstances around them losing to FTR last week. Now, for those of you who didn't watch or didn't listen to that particular podcast, the Hardys and FTR competed in the main event for the World Tag Team Championships that FTR won using Jim Cornette on a distraction and hoofing one of them in the nads in order to secure the belts. So the Hardys are a little upset, but they say the circumstances for the match were what they were, and Cornette knows his involvement, but they feel like they've earned a rematch. Makes sense. Well, out come the Briscoes. And the Briscoes say, no. See, the way we view it, you had your shot, you go to the back of the line. We won the very first ACPW match, so the way that we figures it, we're the next in line for the tag team championships of ACPW. So you guys get in the back of the line. And of course it's getting a little tense, like they're about to come to blows. And out comes Arn Anderson. And Arn Anderson says, okay, you know what? I like where this is going. So here's what's happening. Tonight, we are going to have a match. The Hardys versus the Briscoes. Two of the most profound tag teams of the past 15 to 20 years. The Hardys and the Briscoes, face-to-face, nose-to-nose, 2-on-2, and the winner of that match will face the winner of the Outlaw Inc. and Castagnoli and Sheamus match, also known as The Bar, coming up later on, and the winners of those matches will face each other to next week to determine who will face FTR come week 4, come the mid-season Spectacular Harvest Havoc in September.
So basically a 4 tag team tournament.
Yes, but without naming it as such. He's not full-fledged saying it's a tournament, but it's basically a tournament. But okay. The fun thing is, the Hardys and the Briscoes, your match starts right now. So we go right into the Hardys and the Briscoes. These guys get 10 minutes to do their segment. This ends up being, as usual, as you'd expect from these two, a pretty good match. Nothing too crazy. The finish of this match is the Briscoes try to pull the same stunt that they pulled against the War Machine Experience Raiders, Hanson and Rowe last week, where they toss the brass knucks and then there's the punch to the face. He gets knocked down, then he tags in Jay, and Jay hits a swanton for the win. Well, it didn't quite work out that way because he still hits him with the knucks, does Mark, and passes him back to Jay. And Jay, who's the legal man, still hits the swanton. But when he goes for the cover, it's 1, 2, and then Jeff out of nowhere hits a swanton to break up the count. And now Matt is obviously hurting because he just had Jeff and Jay lay on top of him. Jay's kind of out of position. Mark's looking for the tag. Jeff makes something of a comeback when Mark hits the tag, slams him down. By that time, Matt Hardy has reached his corner. Jeff gets out of the ring, tags Matt, gets up to the top, hits a swanton, 1, 2, 3. And the Hardys win. So the Hardys are going on to face the next team for their next match. They are going to make it to next week's #1 contendership matchup.
Solid matchup for the Hardys. Good to get their win and outsmarting, well, not outsmarting, but countering the Briscoes and the Brass Nuts.
Yes. And the Briscoes kind of in a similar situation to Heath Slater. Got a win last week. Didn't come out on top this week, but there's a lot that can still happen. So their momentum is not slowed by this loss, I don't think. But we shall see what happens. Then we cut back, of course, to Taz and Matt Striker. That's pretty much a given that Matt and Taz are going to have some back and forth in between a lot of these matches, so I'm not even going to repeat that all the time. Then Silas Young as a segment backstage with our newest hire, Toni Schiavone, because I need a backstage interview guy, and I like Toni. And he's good, and he's professional, and he knows what he's doing, and he's got enough of a personality to make it at least somewhat interesting when he's talking to people. Even though he's like 77. I think. He's super old. No disrespect. I love you, Toni. You're up there. Anyway.
He's been in the game for a while.
He's been in it for some time, which is why I know I can trust him. Silas Young has an interview segment.
Question, he is 62. He's not that old.
Really? I swear he was in his 70s. Well, maybe it's just what the wrestling business and what he's chosen has made him age to make it look like he's in his 70s. But he has seen a lot. He has seen a lot of the worst of the worst. But that's not here. Here he's seeing some good programming, and here comes a promo from Silas Young. And Silas Young, obviously, whose gimmick is the last real man, talks about how something along the lines of, this wrestling business is full of pussies, but this place has got men and real men. And seeing how I'm one of the last real men, I'm here to make my statement. Now, that guy has Trevor Mann. They call him Ricochet. This guy, Trevor Mann's got man in his last name, but he isn't man enough to know when to fight me and to beat me. That's why I had to prove what I proved last week. And in the middle of this segment, of course, comes Trevor Mann, who comes in and he just starts to beat on Silas Young, and they kind of brawl away from Toni Schiavone, and Tony's like, well, we'll keep you posted on that, but unfortunately we have to get back to the ring. And so we don't really get a resolution on that. We just know that Trevor Mann has struck back against Silas Young, and there's more to come with that storyline. Moving right along. Then comes Castagnoli and Sheamus versus Outlaw Inc. What do you know? That match was next. And this match goes also 10 minutes. Which was not deliberate, but it's goes right around that time. The finish to this one is pretty straightforward. Castagnoli and Sheamus, who are the heels here, try to do some heel work, but it's pretty much foiled. The finish of this match is real simple. Homicide eventually pins Sheamus with the Gringo Killer. And that is enough for Outlaw Inc. to punch their ticket into a match with the Hardys next week on Week 3, which is technically a month from now, but Week 3, and then after the match, JR comes in, and Outlaw Inc. cuts a promo on the hunger that they have for winning tag championships and say that we told you we'd make an example of the standard, which is, of course, Castagnoli and Sheamus, that we would redefine standards because they are not the standard. And, you know, it's a good promo, and then they leave. And as they leave, JR is announcing that the next interview segment is FTR. Now, as they're transitioning, Outlaw Inc. and FTR kind of come face to face. And there's, of course, some shouting, and there's some interaction and some shoving, and then it just, of course, goes into a full-fledged fight. And eventually, like, there's some referees and some personnel to kind of separate the two, say, you know, now's not the time, you guys aren't doing anything now. Finally, Outlaw Inc. walk back, and FTR come into the ring, and JR, who's trying to restore order, says, okay, guys, first of all, congratulations on your tag title championship win last week. FTR cuts a promo about how great it is to have a guy like Jim Cornette in their corner to guide them and to teach them and to remind them that they are the best tag team in ACPW and in the entire world of wrestling today. Now, a lot of people have been asking, where is Jim Cornette? He's not with us. Well, Jim and Jeff, in case y'all are wondering, have to deal with some legal issues brought up by the parents of Nicholas for the alleged attempted battery and deadlift power slam of a child. We don't understand it. We're wrestlers, we're not lawyers. But they're not here. So, in that case, we've seen what we need to see from Outlaw Inc. We've seen what we need to see out of the Hardys because we beat them. We don't have a problem at all. We're going to be happy to take them out come the mid-season Harvest Havoc, not to worry about that, and then they walk out. It's just a nice heel promo. They run down the crowd, and FTR still gets their television time, even though they're not wrestling tonight.
Good job. Guys keep teams that are prominent, even if they're not wrestling.
Well, particularly because they were the main event last week. You know, I couldn't have the main event and then not be on the show. that would definitely derail momentum, I think. But of course,
what could you possibly be talking about? Featuring someone in a main event and then not really hanging with them for a long time?
Yeah, it's weird how that happens in certain places.
Inconceivable.
Yeah, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. But next up, of course, if you recall, this week is the 4-man tournament to determine who will be in the World Heavyweight Championship match come Harvest Havoc on week 4 in September. And here comes match number 1. It's Walter versus Cody Rhodes.
I've been looking forward to this match.
This is a terrific match. It only goes 15 minutes, because again, on television, only goes 15 minutes. They don't go through a break, because I want 15 solid minutes of action. I don't want people to miss a second of it. Walter pretty much dominates most of the match. Cody makes a big comeback, you know, rallying people with him to get him on. Tries to go for a crossroads. Walter counters it into one of his big chops that just pancakes him down, and then goes for the power bomb. And nails the power bomb, and that looks like it's going to be it. But Walter says, no, this is for the world title. So he picks up Cody and just wrenches him in a massive bear hug. I mean, those big mitts just lacing against each other as he's sucking the life out of Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes is screaming and squirming his way, trying to get out. And you can just tell he's wrenching harder and harder on the ribs. And because this is Cody Rhodes, I'm going to allow him to get some juice. But I'm having him do the from the mouth juice.
Ew.
But it's not going to be the capsule. I want him to actually like cut his cheek or something. I want it to be actual blood. Because the pill thing just looks phony. I want it to look like actual blood. Doesn't need to gush. Does not need to gush. Just needs to be coming out of his mouth. Right? So he's wrenching, and Cody's got the blood coming out of the mouth, and he's just fading and fading and fading and fading. And finally the ref calls it. Walter beats Cody with a bear hug pass out.
Ooh. Like, Cody didn't tap out. Props to him for not tapping out.
Cody didn't tap.
He was going to tap out. He was going to fall asleep.
But he fall asleep, and he may have some internal injuries with the way that Walter was really wrenching on those ribs. So it doesn't give Cody a loss because I still have plans for Cody, considering he's still in the world title sphere. But it gives Walter a convincing enough dominant finish to keep him looking like a beast. I figured this was the only way to protect both guys in this situation.
It's solid. It gives Walter a high-profile victory, but it protects Cody enough that makes him still strong.
Excellent. And that's what we're going for here, folks. Now, the next match, well, right in between that, we have a little vignette for Pentagon and Zelina Vega. I didn't really think this one out as much. It's going to be mostly just speaking in Spanish and maybe some dark, shady lighting. Zelina promoting Pentagon, and then Pentagon having that same level of intensity. Cero Miedo. So people kind of get the idea of what he's about. And there will be subtitles. There can be subtitles. Although I've always liked when foreign heels just spoke their native language and cut a scathing promo, but people got upset because they couldn't understand what they were saying. I love when foreign heels do that, but we are going to have subtitles, but it's a Pentagon vignette that's going to really highlight the dark feeling about him without getting like Dark Order and, you know, even like Undertaker vibes, with none of that like superficial or the light, supernatural hoo-ha. We're not doing that. We're just saying this guy's dark and he's been to dark places. And he's got a hot girl with him. And that's pretty much it with that. Now, the next match after that is Titus O'Neil versus the debuting Jinder Mahal. Who would have thought that this match could go on third from the end? And not sound like it's going to suck.
Only in ACPW.
Only in ACPW, ladies and gentlemen. This match goes 7 minutes. I didn't give him too much time, because this is more functional than I need a good match out of them. I want Jinder to do some heel stuff, because this whole thing last week with the vignette was that Indian athletes are superior to American athletes. And he does some healing up, but at the end of the day, Titus wins with the sit-out powerbomb. I think they called it Clash of the Titus back in that other company. I think that looks good. I think one of them is enough to take down Jinder Mahal. I didn't want to do that to my boy Jinder, but I needed a heel for Titus to beat. And Titus needs a win, considering what he did last week in saving Nicholas from Jeff Cobb. And so then JR comes in to talk to Titus, and Titus is doing the interview with JR when, wait a second, I hear the voice of one Jim Cornette. I thought he wasn't here tonight. And Jim Cornette sells promo and says, you know, Titus, I liked you. I really did like you, but you know, you got to learn something. My man Jeff Cobb, there's only one track on his mind, and that's proving and dominating this world of ACPW. And you, sir, you stuck your nose where it didn't belong. And you really got to learn how to mind your own business. But see, you've done messed up there, Titus O'Neil, because now you've diverted Jeff Cobb from his end goal, because now his whole justice is getting at you. He wants you and only you, and now that Jeff Cobb has put the target on your back, it's only a matter of time before he knocks it out and he takes it down. And in fact, maybe you should take a look. Titus turns around. Look who's there. It's Jeff Cobb, hits him with a quick deadlift power slam, stands tall, and leaves. It's not over between Titus and Jeff Cobb. Not by a long shot.
Not a single word. Jeff Cobb just came in, wrecked Titus O'Neil, and left.
But it seems like that's not the only retribution he's getting. Not from what the sound of Cornette said. It seems like there's more to come for one Titus O'Neil. But... And it may end up coming to blows between those two gentlemen in an actual match. Who knows? I don't. I'm just the booker.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it.
Isn't that interesting? Then in just 2 weeks, I can make Titus O'Neil being an interesting and invested member of the roster against the guy that I've built up almost instantaneously as a threat. It's not hard, WWE.
Well,
it's not hard.
Well, it helps. It helps that you have the right mouthpiece for Jeff Cobb.
True.
Most importantly, you're highlighting the good stuff of Titus O'Neil. You're not making him a goofball. You're making him a serious guy.
Yes. A serious guy who still loves kids and is still the humanitarian that he actually is. Which helps. You know, what? Realism? No. Anyway. Here comes a great match. But we start out backstage with Toni Schiavone, who has got Gargano and Ciampa, Adam Cole, and Britt Baker. And the four of them, who are all together, you know, and Toni says, first of all, Adam, congratulations on your win, this week, and now your tag team has a chance to go up against the team of DIY, of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. So, what did I say? Did I mess that up? I meant to say Bobby Fish and O'Reilly. I might have said Cole and Gargano, or Ciampa and Gargano. I meant the Undisputed Era group. Did I clarify that well enough?
DIY versus Redragon.
That's the match. But this pre-segment is just the quote-unquote Undisputed Era plus Britt Baker group that I've assembled. With me?
Yes.
Okay. So, it's...
So, all the Undisputed Era and Britt Baker.
And Britt Baker.
Gargano and Ciampa not there. Continue.
Yes. Cool. Glad that was clarified. I knew I had messed that up. So, anyway, they're saying, and now Fish and O'Reilly, it's your turn to take on these two. So, how do you feel going into the match? And Fish and O'Reilly's like, no, we're confident. We never had a problem beating these guys. We've done it for a living. In more places than just this. We're going to do it once, we're going to do it again, and we're going to be happy to do it. And Adam Cole's kind of cheering him, and he's like, all right, let's go, guys. And then Fish is like, whoa. You guys aren't coming. And Cole's like, wait, what? And he's like, well, last week, you wanted to keep Britt Baker here in your match, and you sent us away. So this week, in the interest of fairness, seeing how we've turned over a new leaf, you, Adam Cole, our friend, can watch us from the back and watch us whip these two guys from here to the end of town. So, and there's no tension. Cole's like, oh, okay, all right, cool, go get it, guys. Like, you got it. But you could tell Britt's like a little nervous. Like, she's like, okay, what was that all about? But Cole's like not seeing it, right? Cole's not. He's totally like team player. Let's do this. With me so far?
Yep.
All right. So then comes the match. Out comes Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. Out comes Gargano and Ciampa. This match, now, of course, for those of you who didn't watch last week, there was a promo last week about how they no longer wrestling's finest, as I recalled them, Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly had all turned a new leaf. And that they were no longer doing dirty tactics, and they were no longer, they were here to compete. But of course, it was Adam Cole, specifically Adam Cole, who said they were doing the clean, they were going by the book, they were doing things right. And so now, this match, Fish and O'Reilly try to cheat constantly. This is a 20-minute time limit match. They try to cheat multiple times. They do. That's how they get their heat spot. That's how they keep it after the hope spot. And then, of course, a big comeback. And now it's looking, they're going in full-fledged, the way you'd expect Fish and O'Reilly and Gargano and Ciampa to have a barn burner of a match. There's no doubt they're having that kind of match. And finally, it gets to the very end, and it looks like Adam Cole, or it looks like Gargano, who has got Fish, or has got O'Reilly in the Gargano escape, or whatever I would call it on our show, has got it, he's wrenching it, and it's time. It's another time limit draw. But the second...
you hate to see it.
But the second that bell rings, in comes Bobby Fish with a steel chair and starts wailing on Gargano and hits Ciampa and gets up O'Reilly, and now they're just wailing on him for a good set of time. And then finally, Bobby Fish takes that chair, puts it around Ciampa's neck. And everyone's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Out comes, with no music, Adam Cole starts sprinting to the ring. And Britt Baker's kind of like waddling behind because she's in high heels. But he comes into the ring and he pulls him and goes, no, we're not doing it like this. No, stop it. Take the chair off. They're already done. They're down. You've done what you needed to do. Now let's go. We're done. And you can kind of see like there's a little bit of argument. You can't really make out what they're saying. And then finally, Fish throws his chair like kind of like frustrated out of the ring. And the four of them finally leave. And both Fish and O'Reilly walk right past Britt Baker. They don't even look at her as they walk by. And Britt, of course, looks at Cole kind of concerned. And Cole's like kind of like reassuring her like, it's okay. It's all right. They were just frustrated. You know, they give a little kiss and then, you know, they're walking to the back as well. This is all as they're walking to the back. This is very subtle stuff. But the bottom line of this is that nobody won, nobody lost. And it turns out that at least Fish and O'Reilly are not playing by the rules that Adam Cole thought they were all playing by. And it seems like they have somebody who they think is responsible for Adam Cole's sudden change of heart.
It's very interesting that Britt Baker could lead to dissension between the members of the Undisputed Era.
Well, who knows? Because Cole's just trying to keep everything together. So it seems like there's a little bit of tension. But who knows where that's going to go? There's a lot that's leading to this. And how are Gargano and Ciampa going to react to Adam Cole now that his best friends just wailed on them with chairs and almost tried to re-break Tommaso Ciampa's neck and end his career? There's a lot going on here.
And the most important thing is Death, Taxes, and DIY and Redragon have great matches.
Yes. Oh yeah, all of this is framed around them knocking it out of the park, which they definitely would.
It just kind of sucks if they hit a time limit draw and leading to all the ugliness afterwards.
I know. But again, I'm finding that these time limit draws are a great way to keep people from losing, but still keeping feuds going, but also not having the frustration of a non-finish that doesn't still make both teams look strong. You know what I mean?
It gives some realism into wrestling and forces a time limit on things.
Yeah.
It's not like you're gonna do a fight forever chant. Like, who wants to fight forever?
Yeah, no, you want to see somebody win. You want to see somebody win.
Exactly.
Now, here comes our main event, but I have to remind y'all of what happened last week. And now there's a vignette of what happened, of the recap of last week. Last week, Goldberg came in with Nicholas, and Goldberg, who was originally slated for this match with MJF, was attacked by Jeff Cobb and was deadlifted power slammed not once onto the mat, but once also onto the exposed concrete. And the update is, we have no update. He's still in the hospital. He's stable, but there is no timetable on his return. He's obviously suffered not only some broken ribs, but there's also some breathing issues, so they're hoping they didn't puncture a lung. Who knows? But Goldberg very definitively is out of this match, of this four-man tournament. So MJF, of course, goes up to JR and says, all right, so I advanced to the finals, right? Like, we don't need to have this match. We already know Goldberg's out. We already know what I've done. I already had a match last week that I proved I was the best here. Now, for those of you who did not hear last week, well, actually, I'll get to that. So MJF is like, you might as well just count me the winner. You don't even need to do the 10-count forfeit gimmick. Just call me the winner. You all know it. I'm better than you. You know it. I deserve to be in this match. Out comes Arn Anderson and goes, you know, MJF, for as smart as you claim to be, you seem to forget a lot, don't you? Because last week, I said that there was going to be a substitute should Goldberg not be able to compete. And I thought about it, and once we found out that Goldberg couldn't, well, I was like, well, who's the guy He wasn't in the world title picture, but he did go to a time limit draw with somebody who was in the title picture. And so I figured that maybe the guy who went to the time limit draw with the guy who was in the title picture ought to get inserted into the title picture. And MJF is like,
you're not going to do it.
MJF's like, no. No, it's like, no, this is going to happen, MJF, because your opponent this week for that spot for the World Championship is your opponent from last week, Brian Cage.
Oh.
Out comes Brian Cage. It's a 25-minute match. Of course, this had a longer time limit because it was not going 30 minutes. This is a 25-minute match. At the very end, MJF tries everything in the book, but Brian Cage eventually comes out victorious with a massive discus clothesline. 1, 2, 3. Brian Cage versus Walter at Harvest Havoc is your World Championship match. And as Brian Cage is celebrating, Walter, of course, walks out onto the ramp, does his little hands behind the back deal, looks at Brian Cage. Brian Cage looks up at Walter. Brian Cage gets out of the ring and walks right up to Walter face to face, nose to nose, and the side shot of both of them staring each other in the face is how we end show number 2.
It's a solid show. The only thing is that it kind of sucks you couldn't get Goldberg versus MJF.
Goldberg versus MJF would have been something, but I feel like Jeff Cobb absolutely destroying him and hospitalizing him is just what has to happen with a 53-year-old man who may not actually be able to spear and jackhammer anymore, but that's none of my business. Sipping my tea. So, the best substitute in my book was the guy who MJF couldn't beat last week, didn't beat this week, and has now got a World Championship opportunity with Walter. But there's still many, many, many other interweaving stories on this show to make next week engaging.
I'm looking forward to the next show, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Oh, thank you.
In the meantime, I have my own show.
It is now NWL's time, so, sir, the floor is proverbially yours.
All right. Now, a key difference between my show and Sean is that Sean is doing a TV schedule. So he's doing each and every TV show.
Right, week to week.
I'm running pay-per-views. I'm running pay-per-views with the context that TV shows are happening and that stuff happens on these TV shows.
Right.
But I will do my best to fill you guys in on what's happening from the last show to this show and so on and so forth.
Right, so you're going month to month rather than show to show.
Yep.
Got it.
I will say right now that today's show, NWL Battle of San Francisco.
I wonder why you chose San Francisco, Sky.
Because we're live from the Chase Arena in San Francisco.
Oh, right.
Now, I will say first off that this is an 11-match show, and the main event of the evening will be the NWL World Champion, Drew McIntyre, versus the number 1 ranked contender, Seth Rollins.
Is that a title match?
Before we get into the show itself, do you have any questions, Sean?
Yeah, is that a title match?
It is a title match.
Okay. Then,
Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins.
All right. So let's see where this show goes. We got 11 matches, so I'm assuming that there has to be something of a pre-show.
No pre-show. Preliminary show.
Oh, excuse me. We added the rest of the word of pre in order to, now that makes it completely different.
Because I hate the use of the word pre-show because it makes it sound like the matches on it don't matter. Preliminary show means that the matches do matter some, not as much as the main show, but they have some value.
Well, I feel like the only reason that pre-show gets that rep is that WWE, specifically, because they're the only ones who really have used that format, have never put anything of consequence on those shows and have never made them feel important.
Except for the New Day versus, not the New Day, the Usos versus the Shield from Money in the Bank.
Oh, yeah. And that was it.
But everything else,
one match.
Everything else is sucked.
Yeah.
One match.
So this is
Anyway.
where the matches matter on this preliminary show.
Yes. Now, before we begin, I want to do a quick review of the current ranked list of wrestlers.
Go for it.
So at the top is Drew McIntyre, who is our world champion.
Right.
Number one is Seth Rollins.
Yep.
Number 2 is Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is Jon Moxley.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, Andrade Cien Almas.
Right.
Number 5, Daniel Bryan.
Yes, sir.
Number 6, AJ Styles.
Wow, he dropped a
So
lot. He dropped a lot.
AJ, who was originally number 1, has now dropped.
Wow. That's a staggering fall.
It means that he has to climb his way back up. Number 7, Adam Edge Copeland.
Yep.
Because of the Velveteen Dream being fired for allegations, he has
significant proof in allegations, moreover.
Significantly proven.
Yes, he was fired for proof. He wasn't fired for allegations.
Right. Number 8, Heath Lee.
Keith Lee, big boy.
Number 9, Zack Ryder.
He's on the roster.
Yep. Well, he debuted last week.
I know.
Oh, last pay-per-view. And number 10, Nick Aldis.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
So.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So, we will begin with a preliminary tag team match. The Lucha Express, Kalisto and Grand Metalik versus the Wild Card, Thomas Latimer and Royce Isaacs.
Okay.
And this is your standard tag team match. The Wild Card in control for the first part. Lucha Express makes a comeback. The match ends with Kalisto and Grand Metalik trying to beat the Wild Card and setting up for a Swanton Bomb combination. The Wild Card cheat. One of them, Thomas Latimer, distracts the referee. As the referee is distracted, Royce Isaacs goes up and pokes Grand Metalik in the eyes. The referee never saw it. And then they throw out Kalisto. They go up to the top rope, hit a double superplex to Grand Metalik. 1, 2, 3.
The wild card's successful.
Wild card successful. And this has been creating a losing streak for the Lucha Express. Because on TV, they lost matches to the Usos, they lost matches to the Golden Lovers, and now they've lost a match to the Wild Card, and they have to build to something because they've been on a losing streak.
That's rough.
So we'll see what happens with that.
That's rough.
The next part of the preliminary show is Naomi versus Rhea Ripley in a one-on-one matchup.
Okay.
This is a solid 8-minute match. The finish is that Naomi is going for her finisher, the split-legged moonsault on Rhea Ripley, who is on the ground. Naomi goes to hit the split-legged moonsault, and Rhea Ripley rolls out of the way. Naomi tries to get back up and hit her with a rear view, but Rhea Ripley catches her. German suplex, picks her back up, hits the riptide. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Keeping Rhea Ripley
Naomi
strong.
Goes to hit the rear view. Rhea Ripley grabs her at the midair and German suplex.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That would be fun. I always thought that the rear view was kind of a dumb move, though.
It is.
Because you're just turning your back on your opponent and hoping your ass collides with them. It's like
I don't care how big your ass is.
It would be a cool spot, though. It would be a cool spot. I will give you that.
Right. Our next match is a singles match for a National Wrestling League contract.
Okay.
So, a little bit of backstory. On the last show, NWL Revolution, Marco Stunt was fired by Kurt Angle for flossing, as per the agreement of Joshua
The
Campbell
dance flossing, not actually like taking liner to his teeth.
Exactly.
Because that'd be even funnier, though, if he actually like pulled out some dental floss and he got fired for flossing on the job.
Get your nasty ass floss out of here.
But yeah, get that floss out of here.
So Marco Stunt, for the last 3 or 4 weeks, has been begging Kurt Angle for a job. And finally, this last week on TV, Kurt Angle said, okay, fine, listen. The Velveteen Dream was just fired for proven allegations. Therefore, I do have a roster spot open. I will have you in a matchup against a mystery opponent. If you beat this opponent, you get your contract back.
Okay.
Simple enough, right?
Simple enough.
Marco Stunt comes out to the ring with a microphone.
He is very small.
And he says, and he wants to tell the entire NWL fans and Kurt Angle that he thanks them for the opportunity. He goes through the motion to start flossing and then stops, then does the finger wag. And then he says, well, when I win this matchup, I will floss all over this ring. And when I win this match, I'm going to start my climb in the NWL rankings and become your world champion.
Wait, I'm going to stop you there. Sky, if in December Marco Stunt is your world champion, I'm never inviting you onto this podcast again.
Well,
I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. There are some things I will tolerate and some I will not.
Well, you want to know who his opponent is?
Yes, I do.
The music for Kevin Owens hits.
Da 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 da.
Comes.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da. That's the only thing we could legally afford was just actually singing the song. So
I don't want to get copyrighted.
Low budget success. Continue.
Kevin Owens comes out. Marco Stunt is scared. Kevin Owens gets into the ring. The bell rings. Marco Stunt slaps Kevin Owens, and that only makes Kevin Owens angrier.
Now that was just stupid, Marco Stunt.
Kevin Owens starts punching Marco Stunt into a corner. He goes to the other corner outside the ring, hits a clothesline from the other side of the ring, goes back to the other side of the ring, hits another clothesline. Marco Stunt goes to the mat. Kevin Owens goes back to the other side of the ring one more time and hits a cannonball. Kevin Owens gets back up. He screams, "It's over!" Grabs Marco Stunt to the middle of the ring, sets him up for a powerbomb. He hits the powerbomb. 1, 2, 3. Kevin Owens has an NWL contract. Marco Stunt is out of here.
So now he can floss all he wants and have remarkably nice teeth.
He can floss at home with his. He can floss at home.
He'll be safe there. He'll be safe at home.
Exactly.
Floss at home. Stay safe. Stay home. Stay safe. Floss at home.
So, what do you think of our preliminary show?
I think it's nice to see Kevin Owens end up on one of our programs, because I believe that he is a great talent. Even though I really wish he would change his attire. I know. It's a personal thing. I know it's not something to be that upset about because there are a lot more offensive things that people have worn, but I just cannot like him in the shorts. I don't even mind the cut top. It's the shorts that get me.
I get you.
It's fine. It's fine. It's like, it's not a huge deal. Like, he's not the most offensive guy on the roster when it comes to attire at all. It's just one of those little peeves for me, but it's still good. I still really like what Kevin Owens does, so good to see him on the show.
Plus, he got to beat up Marco Stunt, which is
always fun. I'm no fan of Marco Stunt, but if it went the way you said, I would love to watch Kevin Owens just destroy Marco Stunt in a ring. Oh, that'd be great. I would love to see that.
Well, you just saw it. Well, you heard it, anyways.
That's worth the price alone.
Anyway, we will begin the main show, and we will start with the NWL rankings match. We have the number 9 ranked contender, Zack Ryder, versus the number 10 ranked contender, Nick Aldis. Quick history lesson for you fans. On NWL Revolution, Zack Ryder won the right to be number 10. However, Nick Aldis assaulted Zack Ryder after his match, more to prove a point than anything else. And then he lost his rankings to Keith Lee. However, he has since regained his ranking status and has become number 10. Now he wants to come back for his number 9. Well, Zack Ryder is looking for a little bit of payback for that attack.
Right.
Clear so far?
Clear so far.
So we begin this match. It's a solid 8-minute match between these guys. They go out there and they put on a good matchup. Nick Aldis is in control for the first part. Zack Ryder starts making his comeback. The finish for this match is that Zack Ryder is setting up Nick Aldis for the Rough Rider. But before he can hit it, Thomas Latimer and Royce Isaacs go up to the ring apron, and they distract Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder throws a punch at both of them. He misses. He turns around to look at both of them. As he does this, Nick Aldis comes up and hits a big boot to the back of Zack Ryder's head, and then hits him with an MDE. In case you don't know what that is, it's a Michinoku driver.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Nick Aldis claims rank number 9. Zack
There it
Ryder
is.
has fallen to number 10.
Well, at least Aldis is still getting wins, as nefarious as they are. Obviously, the wild cards and Aldis still have some alliances together, and poor Zack Ryder.
It is not over. It is not over because now the wild cards and Nick Aldis are kicking Zack Ryder when he's down. They're destroying him in the middle of this ring, stopping a muzzle into him. Out comes Heath Lee with a chair, and he chases Nick Aldis and the wild cards out of the ring, and they run through the crowd, running away from Heath Lee.
Yellow-bellied.
Yellow belly.
Tail between the
Zack
legs.
Ryder was... Right. Anyway, Zack Ryder is getting up from the ring. The referee is helping him get out of the ring. As they're walking up the ring ramp, out comes Kevin Owens to punch out Zack Ryder. And Kevin Owens sets up Zack Ryder by the ring apron with a power bomb. He lifts him up and power bombs his neck into the ring apron.
Wait! What happened? What happened to Keith Lee though? Did he just leave?
Keith Lee was chasing out the wild card, so they left the arena.
Oh, so he also hopped the barricade, trying to catch those scalded dogs with their lily livers and their yellow bellies.
And then while all that's going on, Zack Ryder's trying to leave, and Kevin Owens picks up the piece.
Got it. Okay, I'm with you now.
And there's no explanation from Kevin Owens. He looks at Zack Ryder with a cold stare, and then runs back to the he walks back to the locker.
I like the funny image of Kevin Owens just sprinting back up the ramp and just getting the hell out of there, but the walk is probably more meaningful.
Yeah, I misused my words.
This slow walk, no, but the visual of him sprinting is also quite entertaining. So.
Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and head back to the locker room.
Yep.
For a little bit of hijinks, if you will. So we go back to the locker room, and it is a crowded place. So all the wrestlers are getting ready for their matches. We see Big E and Kofi Kingston hyping themselves up for their tag team championship match against the Golden Lovers later tonight.
Okay.
We see a blackjack table, and this is going to take some explaining to do. But the blackjack dealer is Eric Bischoff.
Oh, Jesus.
And the players are Hornswoggle, King Queasy, Dave the Clown, Pat Patterson, and Jared Briscoe.
Oh my God.
And they're just playing blackjack. We finally pan to see Kalisto and Grand Metalik sitting at their locker stalls, dejected after their matchup.
Sure.
And Kalisto's asking Grand Metalik, what are we going to do? We've been losing matches every single time. Something needs to change. And Grand Metalik just starts talking Spanish, and Kalisto says, I know, but what can we do? As they're talking to themselves, out comes Andrade and Owens and Charlotte Flair together. And Andrade looks at Grand Metalik and Kalisto says, clearly what you're doing is not right, because you are not tranquilo like me and Charlotte. Charlotte, I'm not even going to try and do a Charlotte. I don't have the female Ric Flair voice. Anyways, Charlotte says, that's right. Now you stay here, baby, while I get ready for my match later tonight. And you make sure you do your best out there. They give each other a little kiss. And as Charlotte Flair walks away, Andrade says, while she's getting ready, I have my own match I need to prepare for. Last show, I took Daniel Bryan's ranking. But tonight, when I fight him in a last man standing match, I'm going to humiliate him. Now you two stay here and watch how a real champion wrestles. So we have that little set up. Also in the locker room is Kevin Owens, and he goes to his locker stall. As he's getting his stuff, Renee Young comes up behind him and asks Kevin Owens, Kevin, what was that out there? Why were you attacking Zack Ryder? Do you have something against him? Kevin Owens looks at Renee Young deliriously, grabs the microphone and says, "Listen, Renee, I have nothing against Zack Ryder. I have nothing against him at all. But you see, I didn't come here to make any friends. I came here to be champion. That's the only reason I'm here. I'm a prize fighter, and I'm going to win the NWL World Championship, and I'm going to go through every single wrestler here to do it. Zack Ryder just happens to be the number 10 rank. So I'm going to take his ranking, and after I take his ranking, I'm going to take number 9, and 8, and 7, and so on and so forth until I am the top dog. Believe that."
Please tell me he doesn't actually say believe that.
That's my own personal thing.
Okay, all right, because I was going to say, that'd be really funny, giving Kevin Owens, like, giving everybody in your roster somebody else's catchphrase from that roster, just shuffling all the wrestlers.
Well, to be fair, he says it in his own way.
Right now, yeah.
Not in the way that Roman Reigns says it.
I get you.
So a lot going on in that little backstage.
Yeah, there was a whole lot going on.
But we established that the New Day are getting ready for their tag match later.
Yep.
We have a blackjack table for a little bit of humor. We see the frustration of Grand Metalik and Kalisto, and Andrade Cien almost showing off to them, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, we get Kevin Owens' motivation, which is the most important part.
Which is the World Championship. And that's what matters. I mean, it's, as a wrestling show, that's what everybody should want. So the fact that Owens has made it perfectly clear that that's what he's after, I'm all on board that. I'm all on board for what that.
As much as you and me were liking him destroying Marco Stunt, let's be clear, Kevin Owens is a heel on this show.
I think he has to be. I mean, I'm not a big babyface Kevin Owens guy myself. He's fine as it because he could talk his ass off because he's so damn good on the mic. But I always liked heel Kevin better than babyface Kevin.
Me too. Anyways, we're going to begin the next part of the show with a singles match between Bianca Belair and Toni Storm. Little bit of backstory for this match. So Charlotte Flair is the current champion. And in order to determine a number 1 contender for her at this show, we had a little bit of a gauntlet match between the remaining 5 women. The first match was Naomi and Bianca Belair, which Bianca Belair won. Then Toni Storm came out and defeated her. After the match, Bianca Belair assaulted Toni Storm, which led to Rhea Ripley, who came out next, defeating Toni, and then finally Asuka and Charlotte, which Asuka won. But Toni Storm and Bianca Belair have been going at it ever since. Toni Storm thinks that Bianca Belair has cheated her out of the title shot. Bianca Belair is jealous of Toni Storm. And now we're going to have a real match between these two when they're both fresh.
Got it.
So these two go at it with each other. They have a solid 12-minute matchup. It's hard-hitting. It's strong-style wrestling. The finish of this match is that Bianca Belair has Toni Storm set up. She's going to use her hair whip on her, and then she's going to powerbomb her from the top of the rope. So she goes to hit her with the hair whip, but Toni Storm grabs it, and Bianca Belair is horrified that Toni Storm has her hair. Toni grabs the hair, pulls it with Bianca Belair. They have a tug of war. Finally, Bianca Belair tries to push her towards her. Toni Storm lets go of her hair. Bianca Belair ends up going off the ropes, and Toni Storm hits her with a flying elbow. That sets up for the Storm Zero powerbomb. 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
Toni Storm wins.
Wow.
Creative finish, no?
I will admit I did not see that coming. Now, I have to ask, and I'm going to pose massive spoilers in case anyone doesn't want to know this. So spoiler alert right here. You think that's going to work knowing that the hair is a gimmick? I like the idea, but you got to just make sure that when Bianca does that, she actually grasps the part of her hair that's not her hair when they're doing the tug of war. I think it's fine to do. I just want to make sure that, like, she doesn't lose her weave in the middle of this and then they have to figure out another finish.
The hair is strong enough that it lasts a ton of more. Also, they're not actually being that strong when they're pulling on it. It's more like a play fight, but they're always strong enough that it's not going to break.
And it still looks visually like they're trying to compete over it, and they're actually fighting over it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, I trust the girls to be able to do it. They're both really good workers, and they've worked with each other before.
Sure. But I'm surprised that Bianca would take the loss here. It's I think that she's obviously not done because Bianca Belair is a feisty woman.
But you don't. Here's the thing, Sean. I don't think you know how high I am on Toni Storm.
I like Toni Storm a lot. I mean, I guess that you really, really like Toni Storm. So I'm cool with it. It was a surprise to me, but let's see where it goes. It's only the second show.
Exactly. So we go on to our next matchup, which is AJ Styles, the phenomenal one, versus Adam Edge Copeland. AJ is number 6. Adam Edge Copeland is number 7. If Edge wins, he gets number 6. If not, he stays at 7.
Right.
Clear on that so far?
Clear.
So both of these guys have a solid 15-minute matchup. The end of this matchup is Adam Edge Copeland hits the Executioner DDT. But something isn't right. When he hits it, he goes down and his back starts having a spasm. Edge gets up, but he's reaching for his back and he realizes that he's full of muscle or something. And Adam is trying to get to the corner so he can hit the spear on AJ, but he's hobbling to get there. Edge does his iconic crouching position, but you can tell he's in pain. He's begging AJ to get up for the spear. And as he goes for the spear, as AJ finally turning around, Edge stops halfway when he realizes his back hurts, and he goes to one knee. AJ sees this, grabs AJ, grabs Edge, hits the Styles Clash. 1, 2, 3. AJ Styles keeps his position. Edge doesn't win.
Man, that's rough. Another loss for Edge.
And not necessarily because he wasn't the better wrestler. He had AJ beat.
Because his body's beaten.
His body gave out on him.
He's starting to realize that he may not have what he thought he had when he re-debuted.
No, he doesn't.
That's a tough pill to swallow, man, and people react to that differently.
Oh, they do.
How will Edge respond? Let's find out.
See you next week. Okay. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. We have to set up the next spot.
Yes, this is where we have the sponsor break. You know, let's take this time to actually pause and give you a little advance on what's happening next week. Next week is going to be just me. Then the week after that, I'm hoping to get Josh Again back on the show. Then the week after that, I'm not sure what's happening, and then we're having the next show of this. The third week of every month is when we have this little get-together for the next show. So you got a month to wait and a month to vote on which show you thought was better heading into our third week of our Ultimate Fantasy Draft and Booking Experience. Straight for all of y'all.
My apologies about that. I just had an issue. A leak was sprung here. I'm not sure what happened, but I think it was the tears of Edge.
Oh, man. Now you got to clean it up. You know, it's a lot harder to find a mop in one of those big arenas like that. You'd think they're everywhere. They're really not.
I know. Anyways, we move on to our next matchup, which is the NWL Tag Team Championship. The New Day, Kofi Kingston and Big E, versus the Golden Lovers, Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega. A dream match for many, I would suppose.
Perhaps.
Except for maybe Jim Cornette.
Jim Cornette is probably not losing any sleep over the fact that this match is taking place. I would bet.
But I will say this: Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, they are goofy guys. That's fair. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, but their stuff in New Japan was still pretty serious, though, because they had people actually reining them in a bit.
Yep, but when they're in the ring, they are serious guys. And this matchup is between two fun tag teams. They both go at it with each other. Kota Ibushi's kicks are strong as hell. You're going to start seeing welts coming up on Kofi Kingston's body from those. The finish of this match is that Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi are setting up for their tandem finishing move, the ultimate Golden Bomb. Basically what it is that Kota Ibushi has him up for a powerbomb, and after he hits the powerbomb, Kenny Omega will come off the top rope. And they almost have Kofi Kingston set up, but Big E runs in and hits Kenny Omega off the top of the rope. Kota Ibushi gets off of Kofi, and he starts trying to attack Big E, and he gets him out of the ring. Kota Ibushi and Kofi Kingston are the two legal men, and when Kota Ibushi turns around, trouble in paradise. 1, 2, 3.
Got him.
The New Day retains.
I think that's the right move, in my opinion, in that situation. I like the fact that the New Day are getting a chance to run with these titles for a little bit. You know, you were not taking the belts off them anything. Nothing against Omega and Ibushi, but, you know, you just crowned them tag champions last month.
It's not their time yet, and it's two babyface tag teams. I don't want to have one babyface tag team lose to another one without a bigger setup for it.
Yeah. No, I feel you. Good match, good setup, good finish. I'm on board.
Yep. Now, we move on to our next matchup, which is the only gimmick match of this evening. It is the number... Let's see here. Sorry, I got to pull up my notes. Because this is a little bit of a note match, so it will take a little bit of time. The number 4 ranked contender, Andrade Cien Almas, the NWL International Champion, versus the number 5 ranked contender, the American Dragon, Daniel Bryan, in a last man standing match.
Yes.
Both of these guys have issues with each other, and it was not helped with Charlotte Flair interfering in their match last month. And a special stipulation has been added to the last man standing match. Charlotte Flair has been banned from ringside.
Okay. Was she interfering in the weeks leading up to this?
Well, at the last match that they had at the last show, she provided a distraction for Andrade.
Right.
And then when the referee was tossing her out, Andrade hit Daniel Bryan with a low blow and got the victory.
Yes.
But she's not going to be here tonight. But as Andrade Cien Almas is walking to the ring, you don't see any concern for that. He is confident and tranquilo as hell. Out comes Daniel Bryan, and this matchup starts. Both of these guys do some good establishing wrestling to begin, but it does not take them long to get the toys out. Daniel Bryan starts hitting Andrade Cien Almas with a kendo stick, and you can see the wealth starting to build up on Andrade. Andrade counters Daniel Bryan by forcing him into the barricade and then hitting him into the barricade. Both of these guys bring out a table that is set up in the middle of the ring, but neither of them gets a chance to use it yet. Andrade Cien Almas grabs a chair. He starts hitting Daniel Bryan with a chair. All that good hardcore wrestling stuff. We go to the finish of this matchup. Andrade Cien Almas is putting Daniel Bryan on the table. He's going to go through the table with Daniel Bryan on it. As Andrade Cien Almas goes up to the top rope, Daniel Bryan gets off, and he starts punching at Andrade Cien Almas. And then he finally takes control of the grapple, and he's going to superflex him through the table. Out comes Kalisto and Grand Metalik, and they start attacking Daniel Bryan.
Oh, snap.
Daniel Bryan loses control of the grapple, and Andrade Cien Almas powerbombs Daniel Bryan through the table. 1, 2, 3. Andrade retains.
Well, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because that's the last man standing. But
no, straight quattro single.
Yeah, went all the way up there. It's
all the way up there.
He wins.
Anyway.
Almost wins.
Almost wins. He looks at Kalisto and Grand Metalik a little bit confused, but they both give him a hand to shake. He shakes their hand, and then they both raise his hand with the championship around his waist.
Looks like we got a trio cooking.
Yes, we do.
Ooh.
Now we move on to a promo backstage.
Okay.
There's a podium. And the podium has the face of Seth Rollins on it. And out comes Seth Rollins. And fans, feel free to skip this promo because it's about Seth Rollins proclaiming that the world has been thrown out of balance. Clearly, there needs to be a new leader in charge, and why not me? I am the architect of one of the greatest groups of all time, The Shield, and I am the leader that you all clearly need. My disciples, Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy, will destroy my former Shield mates tonight, And when I claim the NWL World Championship, you will see the light.
Of the black hand.
The light of the black hand.
There's a lot of light in that black hand. You can't see it because it's covered by a glove, but it's there.
Yep. So we have a tag team matchup. We have number 2 Roman Reigns and number 3 Jon Moxley versus Buddy Murphy and Austin Theory.
Okay.
Now their ranks are not on the line, but this is about pride and revenge. So if you remember, at NWL Revolution, Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley, my bad.
Same guy. We get it.
Same guy. Anyways, those 2 guys almost won the matchup at several points until Seth Rollins' cronies came in and interfered on his behalf.
Right. So it makes sense that they would be having this match.
And there's a little bit of dissension between Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they used to be former Shield members, they're not exactly on the best terms.
Sure.
They start out this match working together fine. They start beating down Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy because they're both better wrestlers. But Jon Moxley at one point tags himself in. Roman Reigns is not happy with it. Then Jon Moxley, after beating up Buddy Murphy for a little bit, pulls him back to his corner, but he's not going to tag in Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns ends up tagging himself in. Jon Moxley's pissed at that. And Roman Reigns does a little more wrestling. Then Jon Moxley tags himself back in, and clearly these 2 guys are not on the same page whatsoever. Eventually, Buddy Murphy and Austin Theory take advantage of this. They both attack them. They force Roman Reigns out of the ring, and to make things worse, they run him against the steel steps. But he's not the legal man. Austin Theory rolls back into the ring, and he starts beating down Jon Moxley, and now Jon Moxley is being tortured by Buddy Murphy and Austin Theory. Eventually, it leads to Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy holding down Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley pushes Austin Theory out of the way and hits a nice DDT on Buddy Murphy, but he can't make the pin. He starts crawling towards Roman Reigns, crawling and reaching for Roman Reigns. Buddy Murphy is doing the same thing with Austin Theory. Tags for both, and Roman Reigns comes in, a house of fire, starts wrecking all over Austin Theory. Finally, he sets up for his finish. He hits the spear on Austin Theory, and as he does that, Jon Moxley takes off Buddy Murphy. 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley win.
All right. Keeping those 2.
Solid match.
Keeping those 2 up top where they need to be. I thought for a second you were gonna give us a little Roman heel turn, and
well,
he was gonna drop off the apron. Although there still is an aftermath here.
Yes, there is. Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley are both in the ring. Roman Reigns extends his arm. Jon Moxley's a little hesitant to do it at first, but eventually he does the Shield fist bump. Then Roman Reigns starts walking, and Jon Moxley spins him around and hits the DDT.
Oh, it's Moxley.
Jon Moxley is standing over Roman Reigns and says, "Listen here, I'm going to be champion, and you are going to be at my feet." Jon Moxley raises his hand and walks off.
You know, it's interesting because I don't think this necessarily turns Moxley heel, though.
It very much paints the 3 members of the Shield in different corners.
Yeah, because it kind of seems like it fits into Moxley's narrative that he's kind of just on his own, that don't trust nobody type of thing. It's like, it's not, nothing personal, Roman. It's just, I don't trust any of y'all, and I'm here for the world title. So it's like he's almost a tweener in this situation. The Seth's clearly heel and Roman's clearly babyface, which makes for a good dynamic.
You got it exactly.
So,
but I have a little bit more I need to explain that happens in this.
Sure.
So Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy have lost, and so both of them are coming back out of the ring and to the stage. Seth Rollins comes out, contemplative, and then finally he extends a hand to Buddy Murphy and handshakes him. Then he goes to Austin Theory, and Austin Theory puts out a hand too. Seth Rollins looks at him with disdain because he was the one that got pinned and lost.
Right. Seth
Rollins hits Austin Theory in the guts, and then he hits the stomp on him. Buddy Murphy looks at Seth Rollins questionably, but Seth Rollins, with the ever-looking grin, Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy walk away. Austin Theory gets out.
I'm assuming this is partially a way to write Austin Theory off of your television show.
Yes, it is.
Due to, I think now, I'm not sure, I haven't been following it, but I think it's now also proven business, shady business.
Well, here's the thing. From what I understand, Austin Theory has not been on TV for 3 weeks because WWE has suspended him for his actions involved in an allegation of sexually abusing a minor.
Yeah, and considering that WWE's pretty passive on that until they actually get evidence, it kind of seems like that one might actually have happened. I don't know for a fact, but I don't blame you for just writing him off TV until you know for sure.
Yep. So that means that Marco Stunt may have another chance.
He just might. He just might. He might come up a little short, though.
That is true. Maybe Shorty G.
No, well, at least Shorty G's racking up wins. At least.
That is true. So, we move on to our next matchup, which is Charlotte versus Asuka, and I'm going to spoil it for you guys. LOL, Charlotte wins.
I love how articulate your matches are with Charlotte and how in-depth you go with your booking of Charlotte matches. Cause it's...
Listen, guys, I'm not going to try and bullshit you on this.
Yeah, this is a fantasy booking.
If there is a match to report that I actually feel like I actually care, I will do it. But let's be clear, I don't care about booking Charlotte matches.
And also, you got to remember, this is a fantasy booking show, but we still got some semblance of reality we have to adhere to. It's like, it's like if I booked Hogan, I couldn't book Hogan to job out. Like, it's
exactly.
So
trust me when I say that it was a very good match. Watch any of their matches against each other, and
as they would be.
It's just that I'm not going to try and book anything that anyone's not going to be interested in.
But I assume that Asuka still put up a hell of a fight. And
oh, yeah, she did.
Still came out looking good because of it.
Leg lock one time, but she tapped on the second one.
Okay.
Anyways, we move on to our main event. Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. And I don't know if you know this, but this match has already happened. It's called Money in the Bank 2020.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's wild. I erased that match from my memory because that show was so bad.
But it was actually a really good match.
I know. That's the sad part about it.
To go watch that review.
Yes, after this, go watch that review.
But Drew McIntyre retains the NWL World Championship against Seth Rollins, and there are a couple of interesting contenders up for his championship. Like, we know AJ Styles is not done. He just won tonight.
Right.
John Moxley and Roman Reigns have some interesting things going on.
Sure.
Even though he lost tonight, Daniel Bryan is still a capable wrestler. And Andrade and Owens is really making a push to become double champion.
Yep. And all this is still moving his way up. You can't discount him. Kevin Owens has made a lot of heavy statements, so you can't discount him. You got a lot of potential contenders moving up the ranks.
Yep. And we'll see what happens next week.
All right. Good show, man. That's you've definitely kept some things moving, and there's definitely some intrigue going into the next month of your show. And I'm interested to see where the next pay-per-view leads.
Thank you.
And so, that will conclude for this week, this month, the ACPW and NWL booking for this week. What did you like? What didn't you like? The only way we can get better is if you let us know in those comments. If you want to torture Mr. Greenberg and force him to watch Extreme Rules, you remember the stipulation. 10 likes, 5 comments. You could make 10, it could be one person. One person out there go make 10 YouTube accounts and make 5 separate comments. That's up to you. That is up to you. But if we get it.
Feedback,
but we need the feedback.
Whose show is the best? What could we do better? What did you like? What did you not like?
And we will do our best to either make fun of you mercilessly for suggesting something that ludicrous, or we will change our behavior. I'm not going to tell you which one it is. But with that said, it is now time for our first commercial break. Sky, thank you very much, as always, for being on the show. Great show tonight, sir.
It was a pleasure.
And I will see you in 3 to 4 weeks' time in August for our next big show. And I will see...
Unless we get the likes and comments with Luke Chase, I will be back next week to talk about Extreme Rules.
Yes. And it may be painful for him. So just remember that. But with that said, thank you so much, Sky. My name is your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty. Thank you very much for watching, and we will be right back.